Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and incidents in pop culture. Welcome to our third installment of Stunts, Shows, and Shenanagins. We've got a few topics. We're not going to be on here long, but let me do my intro. And then we will get started. All right. It's as you come in, your entrance fee is to hit that like button. Also, after you hit that like button, please subscribe. And once you subscribe, you'll be open to a plethora of videos that I have done on movie reviews, TV reviews, and pop culture chats. I just completed a movie review on uh, Godzilla versus Kong, uh, The New Empire. Listen, let me tell you something. If you're not interested in how plot points uh, overact with each other and how this is going on there, and you like straight up monster fight, that is a movie for you. Take your nephew, take your niece, take your children, take them. They will have a very good time, especially with the monsters and fighting and all of that other stuff. When I went to the movies to go see it, y'all, it was like a whole. My nephew is 11, and so there was a whole thing of like 11, 12, 13 to 15 and 7 and 8 young girls and young boys in there, and baby, they was having a good time. Baby, jump scares, all this little stuff. It was just a good time. Trying to figure out which monster did what, where did this monster come from, why are they doing all those other stuff. Now, as an adult, when you start looking at what's going on, you start thinking, well, why are they doing this and where it don't. Enjoy it for the fights. You will not be disappointed on that. All right, let's get into this. It has been a week, particularly a week for Diddy. Diddy has been in the news since Monday. But first, before we get to doing it, this is like a consumer alert, a consumer alert, a consumer alert, a consumer alert. Let me share my screen real quick. Y'all, do you all shop at Dollar General? Those types of places, Dollar General, Family Dollar, and all those little different places that when you go in there, the the sign on the shelf is not matching what's going on at the register. And so, but anyway, you're not being foolish. It is what's happening. Apparently, now I looked up on this lawsuit pretty much after I had gone. Let me just tell you the story. I went to Dollar General because I went to go get some that Crystal Geyser spring water, and on the shelf it said that it was like $1.30 something. And then when I went to the register, it was ringing up at $1.50 something. And so I said, well, that's not how much it was on the register. And the lady was like, okay. And so she changed the price for me. The lady behind me or whatever, as I was walking out the door, the lady who was in the other register, she came out when I was coming. She was like, girl, they got sued for that. And I said, sued? What are you talking about? And she said, they got sued for that. And she kind of walked off. And that's what made me look. And that's what made me see that the prices that are on the shelf are not matching the prices that they have up at the register. What they're looking for is the fact that if you go up there, the Dollar General that I was at, the um, the general manager or the store manager and the cashier were up there at the same time. Usually when I go, it's only like one person trying to get out 20 or 30 people. But that particular instance, the store manager was there, and she made us, not the store manager, but the lady who was rung up by the store manager was the one that made that extortion to me. So I just wanted to share that there is a lawsuit, that the price match, that the registers do not match the price because they have a computer and everything like that. So if you're trying to save coins in this economy, please know that places like Dollar General and all those other places are trying to get your coins, honey. They are really, really, truly trying to get your coins. And I need you all to be aware and be good consumers. And I wouldn't be a good consumer, penny pinching type of person if I didn't inform you. All right. All right. Again, I told y'all I need a let me share my screen. So let's get into this next article. This is the Good Times article. If you follow me on Twitter, you will see that I made some excursions about this. We're having Good Times coming back. They're doing a reboot of Good Times. But the trailer is not I guess they're trying to do it a reboot for the modern times. But the trailer isn't giving what I believe they think it's supposed to have gave. Okay. So what we have is a rebooted Good Times. You've got all the characters and they have a whole bunch of stuff, but for me it's always looking like what the stereotypical black American family is. They uh living in the hood, and everybody's struggling and surviving, and you've got the mother that's overly churchy, you've got the children that are doing what they need to do. And this iteration, Michael, who was the youngest, he was very pro-black. They don't have him pro-black anymore. They have him as a drug dealing baby and all this other stuff. All of these still stereotypical things. And so this is supposed to be executive produced by Steph Curry, who's a basketball player, uh, and Seth MacFarlane. So I'm just doing screenshots. I'm not going to go over it too tough. Again, they got Black Jesus playing, looking like they're playing Xbox or PlayStation, all this other little stuff like this. They've got a good list of actors, and I think that that's what they want to sway you on. Of, oh my gosh, please don't put good black actors out of business, out of a job. See, that's what's wrong. You don't want to support people. No, and this is what I would say to you. Shout out to JB Smooth. Shout out to Jay Farrow. Shout out to Marseille Martin. Shout out to Slink Johnson. Shout out to Rashida Olaawale. And shout out to all the artists that are attached to them. However, I won't be watching. I think what happens is, and you all have to understand this, even when you hate watch, and you're trying to steer people from watching the show, you're giving it clicks, you're giving it views. That's the same thing that you all did with that Tyler Perry nonsense that came out a couple of months. Everybody went to go see Mia Culpa. Shout out to Kelly Rowland. Shout out to all of them. And what happened was every review I saw that talked about that they had an issue or problem. They thought that the movie, the plot, everything was it wasn't a good movie, but because you hate watched it, you've gave it clicks and views, which is now going to in turn have the studio come in and put more money behind Tyler Perry and the movies that he puts out. Why would he change? You all are asking for him to change. The best way for a movie studio, a movie executive, or anything to move is to stop watching their stuff. Stop watching their stuff. Continue to talk about the things that you want to see, but don't watch the stuff that you don't want to see. Now, I just black families, American families have evolved from this. Are there black families that still live in the hood? Absolutely. I'm not saying that they aren't, but there are just as there are middle class black family. There are rich black families. You even saw this even when we looked at you remember what was that reality show that came on Baldwin Hills? And I remember the tagline was all black people don't live in the hood. There is a wealth of stories out here on black folks that don't necessarily have to tie around drug dealing, living in the hood, skirting the law, or trying to live like 2 or 3 steps of skirting law. There are a lot of different stories out here that you can do. This is why you get so many stories of black folks in drug dealing. You've got the power stories and all of these little different things, and they continue to come out and they continue to go. I'm not dissing them. I am just saying you're not going to see a variety in stories if you continue to support those types of stories. So when there's other stories that can be supported, because you all laugh at Tubi and Kiki and go off on Tubi and stuff like that, but there are different types of stories on Tubi that are decent that you can wrap your head around if you go and look at it. Uh, if mainstream television sees you going to these places looking for those types of stories, they're going to create those stories because again, they're going to want your view. They're going to want those things. And do not underestimate what black folks look at because that's what television studios were created. Television uh what I want to say, what channels were created by what you looked at. If you don't think that that's true, you better go back and look at Fox. Fox TV was created on the backs of Living Single and all of those black shows that they had on there at the time. The WB, the CW, UPN, all of those shows were created on the backs of what black folks watch and were catapulted into what black folks watch. Now you look at those shows, and I do understand like the WB and the UPN merged together to make the CW, and now they're all about teen dramas and things like that. But before they had those teen dramas, they had all those shows that black folks watch, particularly in the '90s going into the 2000s. So don't underestimate that. Like I said, I'm just going over this information with you. I know people are saying, well, just give it a chance, give it a chance. You could do that. You could do that. But I'm just telling you, if you are also a person that sits and talks about all the stuff on TV and you want something different for your children to watch, you got to bite that bullet and not watch the things that these people are regurgitating to you. Seth MacFarlane, Norman Lear, and Steph Curry. So you've got to look at the things that they're regurgitating to you. And I'm going to say this as this person, you don't see Steph Curry having his light-skinned whole family on a TV show being portrayed like this. I'm sorry. Is he? I don't think so. I don't think so. So anyway, but Pam, it's a whole family, the husband, the wife, the children. Yes, absolutely. But you sitting up here telling me that you don't know a husband and wife and a children that don't live in the hood, that live in a middle class family. The parents are working and they're taking care of their children in modern times. You don't know this? You mean to tell me you absolutely positively know a family with a baby that's 2 or 3 years old with blonde hair selling drugs in the hood? Mm-mm. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. I will not be sinking my dollars into that. I won't be sinking my time into that. If you go to my Twitter, I talked about this on my Twitter, and I also offered other things that you can watch in on Netflix if you must that are in my opinion worth your watch. You can watch those things because I know that a lot of black folks are looking for things like in the sci-fi uh ethereal magic world and stuff like that because I think I didn't go see the magical negro thing, but just the those types of movies and things like that, and hashtag recast T'Challa. those types of things where you can see people, black folks in the future or anything like that. No, they want to either show you black folks that are slaves back in the past, or they want to show you black folks from the 70s to the 2000s living in the hood, struggling, trying to survive, beat them up, shoot them up, all those different things. That's the only thing, that's the only image that they want to come out. And if you don't think that it's impactful, listen to how black people on the continent talk about black Americans if you don't think it's impactful, because this is the image that they see of black folks when it comes out. Now, when they get over here, they see another image of black folks and they think that that image is fake. But this is the image and this is the imagery, because the one thing that we can do in the United States is that we can definitely share sell a narrative of what mainstream wants the folks to say that black folks are. You know, they call us lazy and shiftless because we're no longer slaves or no longer working on plantation or sharecroppers or anything like that. Once we stopped doing those things and started moving towards education and moving towards folks working trades and doing all these other things like that, all of a sudden we're lazy and shiftless, and now degrees don't mean much as they did before because we're out here getting these degrees. There's a whole lot of stuff, and I'm not going to get into that. But I will not be watching this show. What are y'all going to be doing? Are y'all going to watch this show? Y'all let me know. Let me know. Let's see who's here. Okay. I didn't need to know that. They should have went the proud family route. I agree. It wasn't hard. It wasn't hard. It wasn't hard at all. It wasn't hard to do that at all. But they chose to do what they wanted to do. All right. So let's get into this. This has been a week. This has been a week. This has been a week. Let me share my screen. Let me share my screen. This has been a week for Mr. Sean Puffy Combs. Because on Monday we found out that they had raided his homes in Los Angeles, and they had raided his home in Miami. His two sons were at the home in Los Angeles, and I don't know who was at the home in Miami, but they couldn't find Diddy for a while. They found his plane, his main plane in Antigua, and then they found him. They stopped him, and because we was all talking about where was his daughters, where was his daughters, where were his daughters? I don't understand, where was his daughters? Well, they were with they were with him because it was spring break for them. They were getting ready to get on the other plane to go to spring break, and that's where his quote unquote drug mule was arrested. And so they picked him up. They picked everybody else up, but they didn't pick him up. They iced him out. And so we saw a picture of Diddy walking around the airport and everything. So what am I talking about? All right. So this is from NBC News by Diana Dashra, Doya Medina, Andrew Blankstein, and Jonathan Dentz. It says here Sean Diddy Combs is the subject of a federal investigation amid a wave of lawsuits that have been filed against the rap mogul since November. Three women and a man have been interviewed by federal officials in Manhattan in relations to allegations of sex trafficking, sexual assault, and the solicitation and distribution of illegal narcotics and firearms, the source says. So let me stop here because this is important. And I don't know if you've ever been, it's not like all of us have just like been enthralled with Diddy or anything like that, but we have heard stuff like this about Diddy, just outskirts of stuff like this for years. I mean, going back into like the late 90s, going into the early 2000s. And then something happened in like 2008, 2009, he started rebranding himself. He was no longer Puff Daddy. He was no longer Puff. He was Diddy. And then he stopped being Diddy for a while and he was Brother Love. Every iteration, he starts to rebrand himself. And I was wondering if the rebranding, this is my conspiratorial thing. I wonder was the rebranding and marketing in lieu of something coming out. And so he wanted to rebrand his image as this big mogul, as this big entrepreneur, and all this other stuff. Because I remember he was doing TED Talks and all kinds of stuff like that, just rebranding his image, making him more of a mogul, more than just a music executive or owner of a label. He was rebranding himself, and this is when we started seeing the Cirocs come out. This is, we started seeing. Now I'm not speaking all these things in order. We see the Cirocs, we see the Sean John, and then he went into like this luxury type branding of that with suits and things like that. There's a whole lot of clothing brand. He still was doing music, but he was like uh, not as hands on as he was. He was going to different places. He was at fashion shows. He was really, really branding himself as something different. So it says here, three women and a man have been interviewed by federal officials in Manhattan in relation to allegations of the sex trafficking, sexual assaults, and the solicitation of distribution of illegal narcotics and firearms. Four law enforcement sources told NBC that federal agents with Homeland Security investigations on Monday executed search warrants at the Los Angeles and Miami properties belonging to Combs. The source says that the warrant is out of the Southern District of New York. Why is that important? Let me change. Let me change and let me share. Because I think it's important to understand why. Because the federal government was out here looking for evidence for these charges. Now, this is an article written by Vulture by Claudia Rosenbaum, and it says it's a guide to the many lawsuits against Diddy. So I use this article because of the fact that everything was condensed in this article. Now, I will say she doesn't have the lawsuits in order, so I'm going to push through here and put them in order as when I saw. So the first one that I saw that has everything to do with why the feds, or one of the lawsuits that has to do with why the feds are pumping up on Sean Diddy Combs, is this lawsuit by Cassandra Cassie Ventura versus Sean Combs. Now, she filed this lawsuit back on November 16th, 2023, and that was the big bombshell lawsuit. So she had a 35-page complaint, accused Combs of sexual assault, battery, sex trafficking, and of requiring her to engage in forced sexual acts. According to her complaint, Combs signed Cassie to his label when she was 19 and he was 37. She claimed he was physically abusive throughout their relationship. Mr. Combs asserted complete control over her personal and her professional life, thereby ensuring her inability to escape his hold. She also claimed that he demanded she carry a firearm for him in her purse and forced her to engage in sex with male sex workers, according to her complaint. Why is this important? If you go back to when you remember when Shine went to jail for shooting the lady in the face back in the day, they said that according to some people in there, they said that the Shine got the gun from Puffy, and Puffy got the gun from J-Lo because he asked her to bring the gun into the club with them. That he would ask them to bring the clubs because they pat down the men, but they weren't patting down the women at that time. I don't know if they're still doing it the same way or not. Now the young lady that was assaulted and subsequently shot in the face, she has been on several different news shows exerting that it was that Shine wasn't the one that shot her, it was Diddy. Okay. So this is one of the things I got it highlighted. These are the things that she talked about. All right. So then let's get to the second lawsuit that I remember, which was this one right here. This Liza Garner versus Sean Combs. What does the lawsuit says? She filed a 22-page lawsuit accusing Combs and Aaron Hall. And if you're not familiar with Aaron Hall is the front leader of the singing group Guy with Teddy Riley and Aaron Hall's younger brother. She says that Combs and him forced her to have unwanted sexual relations with her And she was, get this, when she was underage. She claimed to met him at an event for the album release for Jodeci. And after the dinner, he allegedly invited her and her friends to a after party. She alleged that he coerced her to having sex with him. And while she was getting dressed after that, Hall barged into the room, pinned her down, and allegedly forced her to have unwanted sexual relations with her as well. Said she fled the apartment, and she also learned that her friend that she brought there also had been engaged. She says that the day after the assault, came to her home and began assaulting and choking her to the point that she passed out. Wow. This lawsuit is going on. So now we're hearing with Cassie's lawsuit, she talked about uh, sex trafficking. She talked about him having control over her personal life and her career, because she also mentioned that there was a lot of physical violence going on. On this lawsuit, it led credence to what she was saying, because they were talking about that there were underage girls in that uh, in these parties, in these things. So this is the second lawsuit that I was familiar with. Let's go down here. This was the third one. It says this is Joy Dickerson Neal versus Sean Combs. In her 22-page complaint, she met Combs after she appeared in a blah, 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 a music video with him while she was a student at Syracuse University. She claims later she agreed to go out to dinner with him on January 3rd, 1990, while on school break. During their date, Dickerson alleged that Combs intentionally drugged her. This is important. She accused Combs of sexually assaulting her and video recording the sexual assault. This is important as well. Uh, Days later, a male friend allegedly revealed to her that he, along with other men, had viewed the tape. So, way back when, that's revenge porn. She claims she suffered a lifetime of injuries from being drugged, sexually assaulted, abused, and being a victim of revenge porn that he created and distributed. She's suing for him for that. That was filed November 23rd. It's still an ongoing case. So now we see from those three cases that I read that there are links of uh, firearms, drugs, sex trafficking. So let's go to the top one. This is the one that everyone is talking about. Rodney Jones versus Sean Combs. Now, I will tell you those last three lawsuits are something that happened over past 20, was 1991. That's 30 some years ago. So all of these lawsuits are older. This lawsuit right here for Rodney Jones is very, very critical, because this is something that they're talking about that happened within the last year. Okay. It says, what does the lawsuit say? It says Rodney Little Rod Jones, a record producer from Chicago, filed a 105 page federal complaint against Combs, accusing him of what? Of being in an illegal racketeering enterprise. And you know what that's called. Not the Suave, but the RICO. Uh, He has irrefutable evidence of the acquisition, use, and distribution of ecstasy, cocaine, GHB, ketamine, marijuana, and mushrooms, the displaying and distribution of unregistered illegal firearms, and the solicitation of minors and sex workers. Now, according to his complaint, he said Combs reached out to him to do his album. He had an album come out, I think, last year, of this Brotherly Love album. I didn't hear it. I didn't even read it. He claims that he was tasked with procuring drugs and soliciting sex workers to perform sex acts and pleasures. He also complained, let me read it. Jones alleged that Combs also required him to tape these sex acts. And again, we're talking about taping of these things. uh, and often threatened bodily harm to him if he did not comply with his demands. He alleged that his complaint that Combs kept specific bottles of alcohol designated for females on hand, and according to Mr. Jones, Mr. Combs forced all the women to drink the laced DeLeon liquor. Upon information and belief, Mr. Combs laced the liquor with ecstasy, the lawsuit claimed. He also accused Combs of sexual harassment and assault, and all of these little different things. And also, he accused Combe of trying to groom him for Cuba Gooding Jr. Okay, so I wanted to kind of go over those things and why that all of this is important. This is the reason the feds pulled a lot of information. They have been interviewing a few people, and from them interviewing those few people, when they went to the home, they pulled uh, surveillance cameras information. They picked up all the electronics that were in the home, in those homes. They picked up phones and all kinds of stuff going on with that. They are going through all those electronics and things like that because, again, they're trying to see if there's some type of information on these computers, videos, or anything like that. Now, it is my understanding, and I'm going to put up here. I'll put my little thing, support the channel, because this part is from what my understanding is alleged. It is alleged that Cassie provided the federal government with videos and pictures and all kinds of things from these quote unquote freak offs back in the day. So she provided information. There are people and stuff like there on these videos that are people of interest and things like that. So we will see. We will see. This is what's going on with Diddy at this point, child. It's a whole bunch of stunt shows and shenanigans. You know, the shenanigans happened when people saw his plane. I didn't know that you can track private planes. You know, like a layperson can go on this app and track a private plane. But baby, the shenanigans was going on when people were tracking his plane down there to Antigua, looking for Sean, and he was in Miami getting ready to go on spring break wherever he was about to take his girls because we were all wondering where are the twins? What? How did the children get up there and they are raiding the house and everything like that? And he is not there. What is going on? So those were the shenanigans going on Monday and Tuesday. But that was the gist of why these shenanigans and stunts and shows and people being arrested and his adult children being handcuffed in their homes and all this other stuff. This is why we saw all of this. And this all comes from the four lawsuits that were filed against Diddy. Uh, I think the last lawsuit had a lot of stuff that they can go back and they can research it because it supposedly have happened within the last year or 2 years. So they definitely can go back and they can research it and do all those other things like that. What are y'all thinking? Let me see what y'all are thinking about this stuff that's going on around here. Because I tell you, it's a mess. Oh, thank you. I just, braided it a little bit to get some little crinkles. I try. Hello, hello. How are you doing? How's everybody doing? Interesting theory. I just thought he was bored. Happy Easter, Cat. And y'all make sure y'all hit that like button. From what I'm looking at from this little live stream, there's about 9 of you in here. I should have 9 likes. They're saying Happy Easter back. Let's see. The feds shook. Yes, they did. I'm confused to footage being found at his home. Why wouldn't he destroy all evidence unless he stored it in the cloud? He couldn't tamper with that. That's a good question. That's a good question. But also, too, I would think, too, what I have noticed with some people think that they are untouchable because they have connections and in high places and things like that. They think they're untouchable. But here's the issue that happened with that Cassie lawsuit. And let me see if I can find it really quick. Because remember, I told you there was a lawyer on here. I can't remember her name, but she talked about the reason why things weren't looking good for Diddy. Okay. So this was under a comment that I had read. Um, and it says here that I'm a lawyer and I'm going to give y'all some info. Now, the person who wrote this screen name was at 007000556. So they didn't have a name. And it says here, I am a lawyer and I'm going to give y'all some info. Cassie's lawyers didn't just sue Diddy, they sued his corporations and sued in her capacity as an employee. When you do this, it triggers commercial liability insurance. and it triggers another policy called directors and officer. He is a director of a company, so it triggered that policy. What that does, it takes away Diddy's ability to settle. It's no longer, uh-oh, come on, what happened? Here it is. When this does, it takes away P. Diddy's ability to settle. It's no longer his personal choice to try to defend himself. It's his organization's. His insurance decided to settle, not him. He couldn't even fight anything if he wanted to. That's why he settled and settled fast. Because the lawyer, I could never find her video again, but she talked about stuff like this. So with Diddy, he knew that these types of insurance and these types of things were about to kick in, and this is why he settled with Cassie. And I think this is possibly why he is uh, selling some of his shares and things allegedly, because I know I'd read a report where he had sold his uh, his stock or all of his stock and everything in revolt. But it's my understanding that that hasn't been finalized yet. But he is looking to sell a lot of little different things. So this is why now you're starting to see people kind of separate because of the fact with that Cassie lawsuit, he was her technically he was her employer. All those people who were in those being producers and things like that that were hired by the record company, and they were engaging in the things allegedly that they said that they were engaging in. That's all part of as an employer with employees, you can't do stuff like that. That triggers something totally different, and those things like Universal Music Group and Motown and all those people, whoever it was that were named in those lawsuits, those are the things that they don't want to have triggered. They don't want to have triggered because you understand that if she's complaining about that, what other people are complaining with about that with other folks, because that'll tear down an industry quicker than you believe. All right, let's keep going. Who's still here? Mm, mm, yes. Yeah. You notice that. I've looked at her channel. I do follow her. I do look at her stuff. I You do notice that uh every time you saw an image change, I always thought something must be coming up that they're talking about changing image. And the things that I always would come up would have everything to do with Tupac and Biggie. They would never talk about this stuff that Cassie brought out late last year, but it always brought up like Tupac and Biggie, that Puffy had some dealings or stuff like that with Tupac's death, and they think that he had something to do with Biggie's death, or that was retaliation. It was a whole lot of different things. So it was always bringing up about Tupac and Biggie, and everybody was flying. But then under the radar, you would hear about these parties. I remember Jamie Foxx talking about these parties, and I also remember Jamie Foxx talking about he recordings a lot of little stuff too. And I remember Jamie Foxx and P. Diddy fell out about some of these recordings that he has. So I don't allegedly, I just remember him talking about it. Don't know what he participated in and what he didn't participate in. But people who talked about those parties were off the chain. Uh, there were the main parties where uh, I guess the respectable people went to, and then that party became the after party, and then the after party became the after party, and then the after party became the freak offs. That's just me and my assertions. But like Cat Williams say, you just got to tell Diddy no. You gotta tell him no. All right. Let's get it. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. So in my last story, we are doing really good. In my last story, I thought, why continue to have all of that stuff going on? It's a lot of stuff. Let me get rid of all the stuff that I don't want to see. All right. So you all realize, for those of you that do, those of you that don't, that's fine. You all realize that it is the 1 year since we heard about Jonathan Majors and all the stuff that was going on with Jonathan Majors, and then him being convicted of a misdemeanor and a fine, involuntary reckless endangerment, and a harassment that was a fine. So it's been a year, and you have seen all the stuff that's been going on. You know, I've got my whole show, this stunt shows and shenanigan has come with like what happens around this case. This is why I've got this show, uh, going over the stunts, the shows, and the shenanigans cases that are going on through there. So as we see all of that, we've seen that we know that he was to be sentenced in February. However, he has filed a motion to set aside the verdict, and I guess we're supposed to hear something about that tomorrow. So I thought we would end this stream uh, with some of the news that I heard this week, and also check out Lauren Victoria Burke. She did a video about the 7 or 8 PR stunts that she saw, very effective PR stunts. Him and Megan uh, made that list simply because of the fact that they are dating, and they are out here, and they're not being unapologetic. They're dating. They are showing people that they're dating. People, like I said, people who believe it's a PR stunt, it is a PR stunt. People believe that it's fake, then it is fake. People who believe that it's real, then it is real. Regardless, they are living their lives like it's golden, and they're being unbothered. So in between of all of that, we got a lawsuit from Mr. Bari, claiming that Mr. Majors has been on that tail and on that behind, whooping her tail and on that behind since basically the day she met him back in 2021. This is the lawsuit that she has. I'm not going to go over the lawsuit, but I just thought um, as we end everything, we would do, let me share my screen. Uh, Never done that before. Why do I have? Let me stop sharing. I keep telling y'all I need little man that was at the trial. Here we go. Let's share that. So then we had some things that come on TZ, because TMZ has been on every time you turn around. TMZ has been there. Have y'all noticed that? Every time you turn around, TMZ is somewhere to be sure. But this is a video. Let me see if I can play it. I don't really want to play it. Let's see. What's going on? Hey, Jonathan, how are you? Happy Friday. This is crazy. I know. We've been seeing you out and about lately. Yeah, God is good. All the time. Are you having a good Friday? Welcome to LA. All right. Well, what's up, King? I'm praying for you. Well, we're looking forward. So he was apparently TMZ has a bus. I didn't know this. Uh TMZ had a bus that takes fans around, and every now and then, because I went back through a little bit of TMZ and stuff like that, and I do see that every now and then that this bus will pass by celebrities who are in there, and they would talk to them. So they ran up on Jonathan Majors in this video. Again, I'm not going to play the whole thing because I don't want to strike from the copyright. Uh, he sung happy birthday to one of the persons that was on the bus. He's out here living unbothered. He he's just out here living unbothered, like, hey, it is what it is. He was expecting the lawsuit. He did another let me see, because I think this that's when he was hitting the gym. We're not going to show that, but there was a video that they had of him where he was coming out of the gym, and he didn't have a shirt or something like that. And the TMZ person asked him what was going on, and asked him all those little different things and stuff like that. And he was like, "I'm preparing for a role." She said about the other lawsuit. And he was like, "Oh, there's another lawsuit." And he was saying he was prepared for it. He knew it was coming. So basically, all the stunts, the shows, and the shenanigans that are going on around this case have, just like I said, they're historical, and he is moving through these, trying to move forward. So we're going to see what happens tomorrow. I remember a lot of the pundits, and I remember seeing Kat was talking about that this might be a long shot for him, but they do have the ability to appeal or anything like that. So we will see. So all your thoughts and prayers for people who support him uh, for tomorrow to see what happens. Uh, we are all prepared that the judge is not going to set aside anything, but we will see. We will see. Listen, let me tell you something. I wanna say my words right, and I don't wanna say this, but how you gonna get mad that they played, George Clooney more for you? I guess you can get mad. That's not really what I'm trying to say is, you perpetrated a fraud. You told everybody that you owned Ciroc. Ciroc was your thing. You told everybody that you damn near went out there and picked all the grapes and stuff for yourself and made the vodka out of grapes and all this other stuff. You literally put your name and your stamp on a company that they had that wasn't making much business, but you put your name behind it and it made them a lot of money. So they're good. They've made the money. You have made the brand what it is. People are still buying Ciroc, even if you're not attached to it. They're still buying the Ciroc because they like the product. A lot of people say that they like the Ciroc vodka. So him being that, and then with all this other stuff that's going on, these people are not going to be fooling around with Diddy like that. They're just not going to be fooling around him. He can have this lawsuit and get mad all he wants to. But here's the thing. You signed that deal. You understood you have to sign those deals. If you're really wanting to know what other people make and how they make it and when they make it before you sign that paperwork, you need to be doing all the research so you can sit down and you can bargain better. Now, I know I'm a lay person talking all this stuff, but even with stuff that I have to negotiate in my thing, I know how to sit down and figure out. Well, yeah, you're coming to work on my house. I know that when you were working on those other four houses, you charged them this for this work. My work is less, and you're charging me comparable. We're not going to do that, or I'm not going to use you. I know how to do that. So I don't know how I feel about that. Again, I don't say that there wasn't any racism involved, but I don't know. Depend- People are, because here is the thing about that Jonathan Majors case. When it was just a few people or a few mainstream articles controlling the narrative, everybody was like, throw him up under the bus. It's a wrap for him. But when the evidence starts coming out, because you cannot unexplain why you were running after a man that you said just put the hands of God on you. Why are you running after that? You can't explain that. You can't explain that with uh, a domestic violence victim doing this. You can't explain those things away. You can't explain the driver saying the girl was doing everything he was doing. You can't explain those things away. Now the evidence is coming out. You can't explain those things away. They just can't be explained away. Other than you were scared. Exactly. I don't even like when when I walk down the street, and you know how when people will, call you out or stuff like that, and then you stayed for that. I don't know. I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. We're gonna see. We're gonna see. And like I said, there is a level of protection going on that we don't understand or know. There is a level of protection going on. I am not sure what that is. Uh, I feel it. I just can't quantify it. But there seems like there's some level of protection going on with that, and hopefully that'll come out. I don't know. I know she said that she was going. I am not sure if she's going to go for tomorrow or if she's going to go for April 8th when the sentencing is going to go, because so I don't even know if this is going to be like an open courtroom type situation for this thing tomorrow. I think it's just that the judge is going to be reading his ruling in regards to the case, because I think the prosecution had to turn their information in, and as soon as they turned their information in, we heard about the lawsuit. Stunt shows and shenanigans, that always works on things. Hey, Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman says, Happy Easter, everyone. She might be there for the sentencing, right? Happy Bunny. Oh, this is breaking news in the chat. So you going to the sentencing too, Dre Man? I wish I could. I got a lot of stuff that's going on here, but I really wish I could go. I really do. All right, people. We do this every week. Please hit that like button and subscribe. All right. Uh Share this video if you care. Again, this is our third installment of Stunt Shows and Shenanigans. We will be back here next weekend, Saturday or Sunday, depending when we could go. I was supposed to do this yesterday, but I took my nephew to go see Godzilla versus Kong, and baby, we had so much fun, and we was laughing and doing like little bitty recordings. I wish I could show you those, but I don't have permission to show my nephew on this channel. But we had so much fun doing recordings and cutting up and stuff like that. By the time I had thought about it, I was like, "Oh Lord, time had escaped away from me." Okay, so you're going to the April 8th. You're going out on the April 8th. All right. Okay. All right. Because I think okay. So maybe you and Danny and Laura and Victoria Burke will be there. Oh, did y'all see on TikTok? I think it was Danny's page with Flavio, how he was able to meet Jonathan. Did y'all see that? That was cute. I would have been ugly crying, but that's just me. That's just me. All right, people. Again, we do this every week. Please tell a friend, tell a kin, tell that coworker, tell that heifer that you can't stand that I'm over here making these videos. I will see you all next weekend for our fourth installments of Stunt Shows and Shenanigans. And as always, people, bye bye.